like to call to order the Committee of the Whole for July 28th, 2020 at 5:24 p.m. Roll call.
Alderpersons Madden.
Here.
Kubaki.
Here.
Engelhardt.
Here.
Kapusta.
Here.
Terrence.
Here.
Hamel is absent. And Wolf.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Statement of public notice.
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
Motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
And there, I'm going to say it. Okay, a second.
Second.
All those in favor of the approval agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Approval of minutes from April 28th, 2020.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. New business. Presentation by Ally, how do you say your last name, Ally? What she said, for playground equipment at Manchester Park. It's not your name, it's just I have, for some reason, if it's not Smith, I can't say it, so. So, do you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone about your project? Now, Ally had previously presented to the Park and Recs Committee, Park and Recreation and Conservation Committee about her project, and she's coming forward tonight to talk about it because it's a budget item that we need to discuss in capital. So, the floor is yours. Oh, she'll be introducing herself and saying yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name
You want to
is...
stand closer to the microphone? Or you
Tip
can
the
just,
mic
yeah,
down.
there you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ali Pessoa, and I'm an incoming senior at MHS. Our neighbors, Chad and Balan, have a pretty incredible story to tell about how they became parents. Just over 4 years ago, Balan was pregnant with 2 beautiful baby twin boys when she began experiencing complications late in the pregnancy. She ended up losing both baby boys at 34 weeks pregnant after waking up in the middle of the night because she couldn't feel them moving. All the excitement, all of the worries, all of the newness, all of the loss. They went to the hospital with 2 car seats in the car, 2 cribs at home, and so much anticipation, and they came home with no babies. The loss was so hard on them, and all they wanted was to become parents. Since then, they have had their rainbow baby Landon, and 2 weeks ago, had their baby girl Hannah. We've grown so close to our neighbors over the years, running across the lawn to watch the football game or spending countless hours outside helping Landon learn to walk. You can't be with them and not feel their radiating love for their kids. These are their rainbow babies, the happiness after the storm, the babies born after miscarriage. Since their staggering loss, Balan has wanted to do something big in memorial of the twins. I've been looking for a community service project because I have a true passion for giving back and putting a smile on people's faces, which is why I'm here today. Our goal is to raise $40,000 to replace the playground at Manchester Hill Park with Hope Playground in memory of the twins Liam and Noah and in celebration of rainbow babies all over. We would love to do this at Manchester Hill Park as it is walkable from our house and has plenty of parking and free access to the playground. We'd be so grateful if the city would match our donation so we could cover the playground itself and the city could cover landscaping, installation, and additional costs. Since our first presentation to the Parks and Conservation Committee, we've received an amazing amount of support from the community. The Journal Sentinel actually reached out and did a story on the project and is prepared to do a follow-up once we start fundraising. Also, some of our other neighbors have been working with Home Depot, who is prepared to donate $5,000 in material upon final approval. Balan has had so many people from the Rainbow Baby community reaching out and wanting to donate, and we've been able to get a true taste of how successful this project could be. We hope that you'll consider helping our dreams come true in this big undertaking. Not everyone has a story like Chad and Balan, but everyone does have a reason to keep hope alive in their lives, especially during the times we face today. What better time than now to rely on hope?
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Ally, or you were at the Park and Rec, do you want to talk about what the feedback was from the committee at the time? Or?
Yeah, super supportive of what you're doing, and proud of you. My daughter's a senior at high school too, and I think this is a great undertaking. So the whole committee was excited just to kind of have you here and present. As we kind of looked at it, it seemed like it fit in with, at the logical side, with some of the needed projects anyway. For us to look at and say, hey, the maintenance of that facility in that area made sense. For us to partner with a project that's going to support and come forward with funds, it was something that seemed like a little bit of a no-brainer, even aside from kind of the emotional support and the the good feelings that goes along with it. So we were all in favor. It seemed like they had their kind of plan in order. It just came down to choosing the facility, choosing the equipment that fits in with kind of the plan for the park. So it seemed like a really good idea.
I also want to add that as far as the rotation goes for replacing playground equipment at the parks, Manchester is actually the next one that's up, so it's ideal. It's an ideal spot that works out. So I'm not sure if anyone has any direct questions for Ally.
How much is the request for?
A matching donation, so $40,000.
Which Scott will has already built into his capital budget, which will be presented when he presents his budget later.
And that's for 2021 then?
Yes.
So we're not approving this separately, we'll approve it.
We'll approve it with the thing,
With
but
that.
now's your opportunity to ask her questions. So what Ally would like is kind of our blessing, at least, if you, so she can go forward and start her fundraising, because she's anxious to get out there and start collecting money from people.
Got my
Hard to
blessing.
give a blessing without seeing
Yeah.
the numbers. I mean, we've got to see the whole budget. It's,
Well, it's in a rotation, right? And what is playground equipment is probably at least $40,000-$50,000, I would think.
It's a
Is that
$40,000
correct,
match.
Scott?
sure.
Yeah, and was it, Tammy was here and talked a little bit about the cost of maintenance on the facility, and it doesn't change with this project, right? There's going to be a maintenance cost regardless, correct? I mean, that's sort of what, the budget side of it, that it's either going to be maintaining something new that's donated or potentially doing maintenance on something that we pay for at some point.
So it's our oldest playground equipment right now. Idle was oldest. Manchester has taken over the oldest. So what we have worked with, and Ally's worked with Tammy, is we kind of chose how much playground equipment costs. $40,000, very expensive piece of playground equipment. The swings are good still, so we wouldn't change the swings out there. What the $40,000 cost is, cost to install this thing, the cost of mulching it, the cost to put in a nice concrete ribbon around it, that's where that $40,000 cost. And from what we've been doing recently in the parks, that is a very good estimate of what we would figure the cost would be for our side as a city to do it. So
that wouldn't be contracted out, the city would do it?
well, we contract out, like.
Oh, you would?
We contract all this out for playground equipment. What we do is this, we hire.
Oh, the equipment, but the maintenance and everything.
Oh,
else.
and what we do.
Wood chips and everything you contract out too?
Oh, yeah, we'll contract for the wood chips and everything, it's in our capital, but you get it all at once and it's
Sure.
done. And then we don't have to do it, the concrete ribbon around it, installation. Now, our guys are trained, so let's say a swing breaks or whatever, we always do our checks, we can replace those things. It's the full installation and everything like that is all covered with this, so.
And I know it's difficult to give blessings on something ahead of time, but this council has in the past looked at things ahead and said, depending on the dollar amount, it's not like we're looking for, $1.7 million or something like that. We're looking for something that's going to be coming primarily out of park debt and landfill probably for funding. So, we're just trying to see if you guys are at least willing to go out on a limb at this point and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to include this into our budget.
Well, I'll go with the pretty sure.
So you need just a consensus?
Yeah. and just-
Fine with me.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, we're going to do this anyway, and I think it's great that you're moving forward and helping us and helping your neighbor.
Well, it shows pride in the neighborhood, so it's kind of nice.
Looks like you have your blessing so far.
Yep, looks great.
Did we give her any
Thank you.
recognition on site? Is there any
What?
science school over here? Is there any science school up or anything, recognition?
As part of your project, are you going to be, like having, are you going to be, is your vision to have some signage up and explaining what the project is?
That would make sense. Tammy had said that too, that that would be on like the city's part of the budget, because we
Okay.
wanted to figure out a way to do like a memorial sign.
Sure.
And then we also played around with the idea of doing like your biggest donors could like have their name on the sign, so it's like to encourage more donations.
Very good. Thanks.
Go take his money, go take his money.
If
Walk
he's offering
across over
cash,
there, take his
it.
money.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Go take it. No, walk across the room and go take the money out of his
All
hand.
right.
There we go.
That should have been a picture moment.
Good luck, Ally, and thank you. All right, moving on with the agenda to the 2021 capital projects, projects fund budgets. Start with the library. I believe Brittany has passed out some light reading in front of you that you can probably follow along with. Are you going to be going through one of these that we need to have a certain one in front of us, or are you just going to go through your narrative and these are just backups for later?
Yeah, first, can everyone hear me with my mask on, or would you prefer I take it off?
It's fine. You're good.
You can hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the 2019 annual report is really just for your own benefit. I usually like to hand it out at around this time, just so that you can see what the library operations were for the previous year, but I won't be going through that unless you have a question for me. The Young Adult Library Services Needs Assessment, that is something that I'll be talking about in just a few minutes. But first, I just wanted to say thank you. So you, along with the Friends of the Library, are a big part of why the library can operate. So last year we had over 146,000 people come through the library, checked out over 280,000 materials to people, had 26,000 people attend programs. And of course, that's thanks to my hardworking library staff, but it first starts with you guys. It starts with the support that the community gives and that you as the council gives. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to thank you all for that.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
You did 280,000 checkouts. How's it going with the shutdown and everything this year? Are you still keeping pace pretty much the same? I mean, without the minus of the months that were closed?
Yeah, so we were virtual for 33 days. So the library was always working. We never stopped working, but we were fully virtual for 33 days. So in that time, library staff were answering questions for patrons about accounts. We were connecting people to virtual cards, to the electronic books, the audiobooks, the streaming films. So we were doing that for 33 days, but then on April 29th, that's when we started doing curbside. And then in May, we started having people back in the building by appointment. And then on June 18th, doors were fully open. So, but your question was, are we on pace?
Staying pretty close, I mean.
Hard to tell for checkouts right now. You know, we're averaging about 200 to 300 people in the building a day, which is a little bit lower than normal. I don't know if I have a good sense. Let me just take a quick look at my last month's board report.
If you don't have it, you're getting back to normal basically, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I would say not back to normal. I would say we're at about 50% checkouts from June this year to last year. Okay. So,
is the curve going up on that though?
Yeah, curve is going up on that. And I was just looking at my statistics the other day, and interestingly enough, we are at about, we answered, in the month of June, we answered 1,400 questions, and we did 1,400 curbside service. So we're not short on things to do, that's for sure. Okay. So the first capital project is carpeting and flooring. So we've been doing a phased completion of this project. This is the last remaining chunk. It's the largest chunk. So previously we did the staff area and the public meeting rooms. So it's certainly going to be the largest carpeting investment that we've done thus far. And you know that the carpet's original to the building. So it's over 20 years old, and when you have 146,000 people coming through the building, eventually it gets spilled on a bit, it gets ripped up a bit, so we're just looking to finish that project and get that new carpeting in. That is pretty much what I have for that project. Any questions about the carpeting? All right. So the second project is the public furniture. So The public furniture for our building was all original, so 20 years old again, so we've been slowly working to.
One second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Typically what we do is we just take
A consensus?
Consensus
Okay.
for that item.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to back up.
I'm the new guy. I'll follow whatever you guys were doing.
Yeah,
in the
carpeting,
past, so.
we'll back up the carpeting.
So, regarding the carpeting, any objections to that right now? Hearing none, continue.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I got excited. So the library furniture is, all the original pieces are 20 years old, so original to the building construction. So we are slowly phasing in and updating those pieces. We are trying to target the pieces for next year that are not ADA accessible. So a lot of our like printing station where patrons come to print, it doesn't have the right height requirements to allow for better access for all patrons. So we're looking to improve some of those tables and access points where patrons are approaching and looking to access services. So that's that project.
Questions, comments on the furniture part? All right, continue.
All right, so the next project, that's the one with the handout, the young adult redesign. So this is a project that we're really passionate about at the library, and we had done a community survey last year as part of our larger strategic planning year, talked to a lot of people, big survey, big focus groups, interviews, things like that. And one of the projects that we proposed to the community was this project, and it was the capital project that had the most support behind it. The needs assessment pretty much says it all. It explains that, you know, the space was never designed to be a space for our young adults. It was a place where we stored dictionaries and encyclopedias. And now we want something better for the teens because they are coming to the library, as you can see from the document. They're studying in the evenings. They are looking for places to be social and a safe place and a clean place. And we want to be able to make sure that they have the study spaces they need, the places where they can go to teen programs and do their crafts, places where they can experiment with technology. We want to be able to make that space for them better than it is. And we know the teens use the library. We've talked with them. We did a teen survey. We did a needs assessment where we observed teen patterns of behavior. So we did a lot of research last year. All of that research is cited in our works cited page on the back. So we know, based on all of that evidence and all those conversations with the community, that the space needs to be done. We know what needs to be done, so now we're just looking for the funding to do it. We already received one $1,500 grant to buy one piece of furniture to help bring technology into that space. And I am applying for a couple of other grants to see if I can help supplement that project, but yeah, that's what we're looking for.
I have a question.
Yes,
Last year's projection was 32,000. This year it's 56,000.
yes.
Tell us why.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things that went into that. So that original projection was really just a basic guess, I'll be honest. It was a basic guess. And then what happened in 2019 was we did all of that work, right? We talked to the teens, we talked to the community, we observed them. We did all of that research in 2019. And what it allowed us to do was realize really specifically what types of furniture we needed, how we needed to rearrange the space, what types of shelving we needed, things like that. And so really what it did was it made us realize that 32,000 couldn't give us what we knew the teens needed based on our conversations with them and based on our observations.
Given that the world is going more virtual, it's a major expense for 46 people who use the library, which is probably the same teens every night.
Well, you know, it's, that 46 is, you know, an average. It may or may not be the same 46, but if you look at section 3, you'll see that over 1,709 teens have library cards. So that is not a small group. That's a large group of that community who could potentially use that space, whether they're grabbing books, whether they're taking part in our programs. You know, you can see that 210 of them participated in our summer reading, so that's those are big numbers, and it's not just 46.
What components caused that change?
From the 32 to the 56?
Yeah.
Yep, so there's about 10,000 of that is carpeting. And originally I had thought to roll all the carpeting costs into our larger carpeting project, so the 118,000 that we just talked about. But I thought it would be a better snapshot of what it would cost to redesign the teen area to include the carpeting in that part of the project. So about 10,000 of that is actually carpeting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remove the carpeting and if you were to roll that into the general recarpeting of the library, which would have happened anyway because it's in the same area, you know, then instead of 56, you're getting 46.
So there was nothing in last year's projection as far as carpeting?
No, because I was going to put that in the larger carpeting amount, yeah. Aside from that, you know, we're looking at furniture pieces and technology carts, and we decided we wanted to add some electrical so that teens could have charging stations for their phones and their Chromebooks because of all the technology that kids are doing in the schools. So all of those components just started to add up a bit. We wanted to add some privacy screens so that we could have programs back there without the sound filtering into the main area, because I love my library, but it's a big box. And so if you want to have programs in the space where the teens are actually, where their collection is and where their space is, then we want to make sure that we're not allowing for as much sound to filter into the main library area. Right now, when we have a teen program, we have to have it in our public meeting room because otherwise there's just going to be too much commotion. And that it's not ideal to have a program removed from the audience's own space, right? So for our children's area, they have their story times in the children's space. And that's a value because beforehand and after they can move around their space, they can talk with others in their age group, they can access their collection. So it's really a value to be able to bring those programs into the space where their collection is. So all of those little things, you know, started to increase the price, but the carpeting was one of the larger.
Didn't you make the space larger as well?
Yep, we are hoping to bump out about 10 feet or so into the larger area. That will allow us to get the additional group study spaces that we're hoping for the teens.
The one stat on her sheet that she has that I'll just point out to the rest of you that's pertinent to this is 61% of the users of the library are what she's trying to tailor it for. So if we're going to have a library, we should be tailoring it to the people that are using it the most. And according to that stat, the most people that are using it are the group that she's trying to go after right here. So.
Well, plus she's also going to target the high school with a sign up as well as the middle schools. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll increase your library card holders. Will probably increase that space to be used as well.
And you know, we are very proud of how our teens already use the library. You know, like I said, 8,351 young adult novels were checked out last year. Some of them may have been from adults who just love the Hunger Games, but many of those are from our actual population. So we're already proud of the activity that we are doing, but I also think the more we enhance the space, the more we will draw people to it. I mean, right now, like I said, it looks like it's a place where you would put dictionaries. Okay. Imagine if we could give them more. I think we could do a lot more too, so.
Yeah, and those 61% are people that use the library in the evening, which I would understand would be more teens than adults, so.
It still equates into over 2,000 or roughly 2,300.
Yeah, I was just looking at the increase in costs and looking for reasons for that.
It's a fair question. I spent many months, because I told them, I said, hey, if we're going to do this increase, that's why we did all this work, because I'm not going to just pick a random number. I'm very, very concerned about those numbers and making sure that that every penny that's in there is because we absolutely need it. And yeah, thank you for the questions. I do appreciate
you.
it.
Any other questions or comments, concerns? Consensus on this part? All right.
Yeah.
And the last project is a service desk redesign. You know, I probably should have used a different word than redesign. It's actually a replacement of the desk. So the desk is original to the building. It has held up fairly well, but like all service desks, it's been scuffed. I think it knows I want to replace it because the drawers keep breaking. It's like it knows that its time is coming to an end. The major benefit of a replacement of this desk, aside from the fact that it's breaking and it's getting scuffed, is the usability of it. So right now, the desk is positioned with multiple levels, which is not ideal. We have so many children coming in, we want it to be all one level so that everyone can access us from all sides and not, you know, be peering over. Aside from that, the stations where my staff sit, you can't move them. They're sort of stationary there because of the different levels. And because of that, my staff are actually facing away from the two most trafficked service points. So they're facing a puzzle table and the kids area, and the kids area is a high traffic area, but I want them to be facing the front doors because that's where a lot of people are coming in. And I want them to be facing the technology area because we get a ton of questions. Like, I don't know if you, from this document, we had 12,380 technical questions. So those are questions about help with the computers, help with copying and printing, how do I access my email, how do I fill out this job application. So we get so many technical questions, and so I would like my staff to be positioned in a way where they can face those two main service points. And like I said, we can't just move the computers. The desk isn't structured in that way. The other concern that I have is because they're not facing the two most well-trafficked service points, it's also a security issue. My staff have to rely on peripherals for people approaching them. I would prefer them to be able to see people approaching them without having to rely on their side vision, so.
Same question. You're projecting 20 for last year, it's
Yep.
37 this year.
Yep. I will accept I accept responsibility for all the numbers. This one's definitely, that was a wild guess, and I should have
Guess high.
guessed higher, yes. So I apparently don't know how much desks cost, so I've learned that, and in the future, I will work harder to either put asterisks saying that it's an estimate, or I will get much better estimates further out. So that's a fair
Brittany,
question.
we don't get a chance to torture the staff very often.
That's
this is-
fair.
this
That's
is our
fair.
opportunity.
I absolutely
There we
accept
go.
that.
All right, well, thank you.
Questions? Consensus?
Sure.
All right. Is that it for yours?
Yeah, is there anything else I can answer about the library? It was lovely to see you all and all your questions.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move the committee whole into recess at this point and move on to the Big Lake annual meeting. So, adjourning the cow at 6:52.
5:52.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
5:52. I had a little hands on the 6, so. All right, reconvening the committee of the whole for July 28th at 13 p.m. Continuing on under new business, 2021 capital budgets, funds, budget, please.
All right. Which one do you want me to start with?
Let me just pull it up. What pages are you on?
The drone, on page 14.
14. Why don't we start with your drone?
The drone? Okay. All right.
For those following, we're on page 14 in the handout.
Okay. Yeah, I have mine separate, so I don't have page numbers. Well, I guess I do here, okay. We started our drone program initially in 2016 on a trial basis, and it's proved to be very valuable for us with different calls that we've received, with, jamming on Janesville, 3rd of July fireworks and that as well. We've used it many times for suspect searching and things like that. And we had another time where we used it. There were some kids that were lost on Little Muskego Lake, and we used it for that too. And it's been very productive for us. However, the limitation that we have is we can only use it during daylight hours. So the one that the drone we have will be 5 years old next year, and we would like to replace it with one that has a FLIR system on it, infrared, because then we can use that at night to, because a lot of times we're looking for suspects at night and different things like that. So it would give us a lot more capability for what we use it for, type thing.
Questions?
You were sharing that drone, weren't you? Was
We
it kind
were
of a
sharing-
shared drone?
Yes, we were. However, they don't have need for a nighttime drone.
No.
We don't do a lot of planning stuff at night?
And then you're going to keep the old drone and still use it, right?
Yes, they will
Oh, you're
keep it,
going to
yes.
keep it, okay.
Yeah.
That's the only questions I have.
How many who's licensed to do it right now? Do you have it?
Currently, our only FFA pilot is Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jake is trying to get his, but he hasn't gotten it yet, but it's on the docket to do.
And Sergeant Fonz can also.
That's what I was meant, from the police department. I was hoping
Right.
one of the officers were.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all under Tyler's license, so, yeah. And there are times, when we will call upon them to put it up, as well as having an officer. So, but it's been very effective for us over the years, so.
All right. Everyone's okay with that? All right, moving on to the LPR.
Okay. This is a automated license plate reader, and we have one in one of our squads, and we would like to get a second one. They are very beneficial because what this does is, as a squad is driving down the road, it's capturing license plates and running them against the Crime Information Bureau database. And if there's something wrong with the plate, like if it's a stolen vehicle or things like that, that comes back to the officer as they're driving. And then it also records all this information. And the plus for that is, especially in these days, your retail stores, they're very hesitant to approach retail theft suspects. So rather than approach them, they'll just wait and see what car they get into and try and get their plate, or a description of the vehicle, and then they let them go because they don't want their loss prevention people getting hurt fighting with these people and stuff. So it's become more valuable for us over the years here, because then what we can do is, when these LPRs are out on the road, they're constantly recording license plates. And there's a central repository for all these plates in Greenfield. Police Department houses it. And so if we get let's say we get a retail theft at Walmart, we can go and we get a license plate, we can go into that repository and check that plate against, all the municipalities that are in there, and I think it's 30 some. And see if, if the theft happened today, if Elper in the area, in our city or in one of these other jurisdictions got a picture of it, it'll be in there. It takes a picture of the vehicle and as well as the plate, and then runs it for us. So they're very handy for helping us to solve crimes or criminal behavior. If you got a suspicious person in the area, you can check that for different things. And, we have the one, but if we had two, obviously we'd be getting twice as much data.
I assume they also record a GPS location where the vehicle
Yes, correct. They, they tell you exactly where they are on what road and where the picture was taken, so.
Does it go the other way? Will it notify you if there's a a vehicle that someone's looking for and it hits the system, will you get sort of a trigger that says, hey, this vehicle's in Muskego?
Yes, there are flags that other agencies can put in for everybody to see, but then there's also local flags that, you know, if we're looking for somebody for something local, we can add that flag in there so they can drive by the car. The officer doesn't even necessarily have to see the car, but the helper unit will pick it up and it automatically runs it and it catches that flag and it makes an audible notification that, you know, this vehicle you're looking for it or whatever. So they're very handy for investigations.
I know.
Questions?
Was there funding before that came from forfeitures for this, or?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The previous one, was that bought with forfeiture money, or? I
Was
thought I
that a
remembered
grant?
something
I
like
think
that.
that one was a grant.
It was a grant?
Yeah.
We ran it through the budget, right? And you
Yeah.
got the money back.
We ran through the budget, but I thought there was funding for it
Yeah.
the other time.
Yeah.
Is that true this time, or is this strictly something, or?
Yeah, right now, there's no grant funding that, you know, obviously if some would become available, we would go for that, but.
Right now, we have a plan to come through landfill.
Landfill money would be, okay, all right.
Question I got is, I don't see anything in 2022. I mean, is 2 of these enough for the city?
2?
Are you looking to add more of these in, or?
Well, what we do is we try to keep them on the road all the time. So, you know, so the squad that we put them in, you know, gets more miles on because it sees the road more than some of the other ones. So you know, I guess we're doubling our coverage by having 2 of them.
So two's
I know
enough is my question, really, I guess.
Covering
Some agencies will-
66% of our, it's covering 66% of our patrolling area by doing
Right.
2 of them, so.
Yeah, some agencies run more, you know, in larger agencies, they have more of them. You know, would it be something we would maybe want to build up to someday? You know, potentially we could. But we're just looking now to double our coverage. You know, we divide the city into three areas, patrol areas. So if we had 2 of them, you know, then we can get two of the areas covered. So.
If that's a future need, it really is helpful for us to have that as a projection
Further out?
like you have for your detective car in the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Questions, comments?
No, I would just think that if you're doing 2/3 and you have 1 more, you have 3/3, and $27,000 for the coverage is not an outrageous amount of money to look to put into a future budget. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know if I'm on page with everybody else on that.
I remember before we asked you to prioritize for us what you would give up if we said we didn't give you everything you asked for. So
That's everybody's budget, right?
where does this rank as far as your personal feeling on it, or your official feeling on it?
The Alper is very valuable for investigations, you know, whenever, and so I would say that it's pretty high up on
Pretty high.
on the list.
Okay.
It's something that we use all the time on different calls and stuff.
I just think it's a value, so I would look at adding it into a future budget, because I see nothing for the next 4 years. And if we just need 1 more to cover 100%.
What's the life of these? It's technology, 5 years?
4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And how old is the one we have right now?
5 years?
Yeah, I think it's getting,
So,
Technology changes as we all know.
right.
right.
It might get cheaper.
We can update the 5-year plan with a rotation at least on it, so.
Yeah,
And
it's
it-
5 years old.
And then you're buying with other communities out of this, right? I mean, there's like a buying group on this or something?
Right,
Okay.
right. So there's, you know, every agency's putting in data, so there's, you know, hundreds of thousands of,
Well, I mean, the cost of
Wait,
of the equipment, that's a grouping or something with other communities, you're buying off of someone else's
was it $100?
rebate or whatever?
The equipment's not, belongs to the consortium, they'll say it's like $100 and $150 a year.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
all the same, we're all in
Right,
the database, so we all get each other's stuff.
right. Greenfield houses a server and we pay like $100, $150 a year for access to it. So it's relatively cheap. It's very cheap, so.
All right.
So Rob, your suggestion is to plug one in the future?
Well,
And I agree with you, if
especially
that's-
now if the one is up in a year or so, You definitely want to get one
Yeah, I
probably in
think we need to add it to
2022.
the 5-year plan,
I
just
agree.
as a rotation
I agree.
for.
Okay.
But mine was to add one more, so we would have 3 instead of 2. That's what I was thinking. But, I mean, he just said it's high on the priority list.
Sure.
If you add another one would be great, but the cars that is due to come up is 3 is gonna hopefully get replaced in another year or 2, and then we'll just update that equipment, which will be cheaper than buying new.
Right.
So then you would have your.
Okay, but my point is I don't see anything in the next 4 years. So that's the only thing I brought up, so.
Yeah, so we could put it in a vehicle replacement.
Yeah, if you're
As-
outfitting a
as
vehicle,
an
just put it in
upgrade.
as your cost of the upgrade.
Yeah.
There you go, you got a free
It's going to
ride,
become
see?
standard equipment.
Right. Because we're doing that now with arbitrator cameras and stuff on the squads as well. Every once in a while, they need to be upgraded.
All right. Everyone okay with this then? With the adjustments to the 5-year capital? All right. Training equipment purchases.
Okay. This would be to purchase 2 rifles and a couple radios for training purposes. The way it works now is we only have enough rifles for the number of cars we have. So when officers go to training, they have to take a rifle out of a car. And if they take the rifle out of the car, then now that car is sidelined in the garage for that day that they're at training, or if they're at a longer training, 2 or 3 day or a week training, that vehicle is sidelined. So the idea is that if we got a couple extra rifles for training purposes, we'd have to equip them the exact same way as the ones that are in the cars, because we've got to train, with the same equipment. And but then we could do that. They could take those rifles to training. We wouldn't have to sideline our vehicles. And then the other thing with the radios, we went with a new radio system years ago, and we got only the number of radios for officers that we have. So we have no extras for training, for setting up. If we're doing scenario-based training where we have a dispatch, a mock dispatch center and stuff like that, we don't have extra equipment. Plus, in addition to that, those radios, like if we had we call them an all call, where we call in all officers, and then usually if we have that, we're calling in people from other agencies to come and help us and stuff, and we would have a couple extra radios that we could hand to other agencies, especially like Racine County, because we do not have radio communication with them on our current radio system. So we would have to come up with ways to be able to communicate with them. And if we had a couple extra radios, we could use that to make that happen.
Okay.
I'm good. Detective vehicle.
Okay. All right. Well, which one?
The one with wire wheels and the fancy one here.
Yeah. Okay. You may remember back in, I think it was 2017, I came to you with this one, and it's a 2006 Chevy Impala. And at the time, you guys asked if I would just keep it, and we put some money in it to fix it. Well, it's kind of a bucket of bolts now, and it needs to be replaced. There's something in the dash. We don't know what it is. We had the mechanic look at it, and he can't figure it out. It goes tick, 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 and we can't, sometimes if you hit it in the right spot, it quits for a little while and stuff. So that's what we're dealing with it right now.
Keeps you awake.
What's that?
Keeps you awake.
Yeah, right. And it uses oil, and it's having corrosion issues and all that stuff. So that one we're looking at replacing. As far as the replacement squad, the detective vehicles are a little cheaper because we don't have to put in all the equipment that we do in the MARC squads. So, and that one would be the $46,000.
Questions, comments, blessings? I'll take
Whatever
a
you
lack
need,
of
Chief,
comments
whatever you
as,
need.
as your blessing. All right. And then I see you have another replacement vehicle scheduled for the following year.
That's for the following year, yeah. So,
And that's a squad, right?
what's that? Yeah, well, that would be similar to the other, we would buy, that's not a squad, no, a MARC squad. It would be like a Malibu or something like that.
Okay.
So it would be a plainclothes vehicle. 'Cause the advantage to these is we can also use those as, you know, an undercover type vehicle or surveillance vehicle. So they would not be marked in any way.
Because no one can tell that that's a squad car when they're
No one.
unmarked.
Right, well, you know, and we maybe wouldn't have to get a Malibu, we could maybe get a Toyota or something, you know? But, yeah, the idea, the other one, that 2014, the Tahoe, that's an old squad that we have him using, and, you know, so I don't remember how many miles are on it, it's got a lot of miles on it, and we'll use it another year, and it's, you know, it was a squad for at least 2 years in service, so it's pretty well used, so.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Information technology.
No, for sure.
And you are on pages
Get a crack at Barb.
7.
7.
Do you have your order you're going to do, or do you want me to?
If you want to tell me the
I
order.
don't
that-
necessarily need to. You're just going along in the agenda here, or in the book, so wireless cameras are the first one I see.
Wireless cameras is the extension of the cameras that we have been putting in the park. For 2021, Jensen's up to noon and veterans, so we'd cost this out. If you remember, like 2 years ago, the large camera project, we cost out over like 5 years to break out the cost. So this is just a continuation of that project, so.
Any questions on the cameras?
Are we staying ahead of obsolescence on this?
We are trying our darndest, yes.
What kind of, I mean, where are they in resolution compared to where they were?
They're all HD cameras, they're all at least 1080p.
Okay.
What's the bulk of the cost? Are we talking, I know the industry, right? So is it more of the point-to-point, the install, all that stuff?
It's the install, and some of these, depending on the park, getting power to the park is kind of costly. We either have to do poles, like on Moreland Park, I have to rely on Spectrum because there's no line of sight to the water tower that's clean. So it's those kind of issues that drive the costs up a little bit. We try and stay under this the best we can.
Got it. So it's not like just sticking a camera at the top with Wi-Fi
No.
in the park? Yeah, okay.
No. We are doing it the right way.
It's not like putting an Arlo up in
No,
your,
and
front of your house.
because I looked at Danoon, I was like 1 for 20K versus Jensen 2 at 18. I assume that's facility.
And that's Danoon, because there's nothing out by Danoon. We'd have to get power out there from We Energies, and it's just, I think that's just a little higher number, so we don't under budget.
I hear you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, blessings? We all good with this?
Next, I have that GPS unit. That is something for GIS department. So about 5 years ago, we had gotten a GPS that was a little more expensive. It was about $10,000 to $12,000. We've used it, and we've used it, and we've used it. This new one is half the cost, and it will work with all the guys' iPads. So this year, all the utility workers have their own iPads to go out in the field. This GPS unit will connect to them, and they can do all their data, locates, points, bring it back to our GIS system through the cloud, and then have the data upload in real time.
Gotcha. So they don't have data plans on the iPads then? That's kind of how that works?
Correct.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep, data on the iPads.
Okay. Any blessings, questions? I'm not hearing objections, so continue.
Okay. The last one that I have for the year is the security for the SCADA system. This is kind of a joint effort between me and utilities. Obviously, in this wonderful world we live in, security is becoming more and more important. And as you know, we have a lot of lift stations and wells in the city. And right now, we really don't have a good handle on who goes in and out of those buildings. So this is a start. It's broken out for 5 years to get security access in those lift stations. Basically, it's very similar. It is the same system that we use here at City Hall and the PD and at both the utility buildings. So they fob in, fob out. We know who's there. We know what time they enter, what time they leave. Same kind of thing. So.
Why is that not in the water utility, considering half the city doesn't use city water?
I'm sorry, Kevin, say that again?
Why is this not part of the water utility?
Well, we've kind of had this discussion over the years that it's technology, it's water, whose do you put it in? So I'm here on their behalf. If we want to move it into water, we can.
Because it would seem logical to me
I
to
agree.
put it in the water utility.
Sure.
Because you've got so many users that, and Sharon's going to tell me why you.
Here's going to tell you why we're not doing
No, I
that.
actually, when I read your memo, it looked like it would be utilized for other areas within the city, but if it's going to be strictly water utility, I will move it.
Okay.
It just ties in with the other security system we have. It's the same system, it's just
Okay,
an extension of that
But this is
system.
going to be
It's a node of
specifically
it?
for water?
I'm sorry, what?
It's just a node of,
It's a node, it's each node, because, yeah, we're not connected to each of those facilities via any network as of right now. So they're all going to be a cellular connection back into our network.
Okay, then
Does that make sense?
Then I'll move it.
Thank you.
Okay, that's really all I have.
thank you.
That was easy. Thanks, guys.
Sharon?
I'm sorry, can I say something? Barb,
Yeah.
thank you for your future projections. They're really helpful. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm learning something what Alderman Kabaki wants to see in the future, so noted.
I look future and past. Just so you know.
Okay, I'm at page 5. So the first item is just a continuation of, well, it's a carryover basically from 2018 for electronic poll books. And unfortunately, there are many technical issues that we're still encountering. So hopefully they'll be resolved next year. So again, we're just asking to carry that amount over.
Are we invested in equipment for that already to any degree?
We did, and I actually returned it because it was so poor, and I'm glad I did because not many municipalities are utilizing it right now.
So it didn't work as supposed it would.
No, no.
Questions, comments? I take their silence as a yes, so you can go on to the next one.
Okay. This project is basically the second half of the on-base document management system conversion that the IT staff and finance will be working on together. The first phase included implementation of a new agenda management and roll call system that hopefully should be up and running in a few months. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And Laserfish will provide for various workflow options, including a secure document repository, advanced searching capabilities, multiple web-based forms, and process automation for record retention. And that basically summarizes, unless Barb, you have anything else to add?
Questions, comments? So essentially, this will allow us to search things on our website, past agendas, all that stuff we can't do now very easily, which is sorely needed. All right. Any other questions on any of the items here? All right, communications, miscellaneous business. Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 6:27.